open slide. Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can.
Great. Today we have an interesting topic about sociology of the family and marriage. So we have some lyrics. So have you ever been in love? Yeah, almost certainly you have. Most people from their teens onwards know what being in love is like. Love and romance provide for many of us some of the most intense feelings we ever experience. These days, we might be skeptical of the idea that love is forever. It seems natural for a couple who fall in love also want a personal and sexual fulfillment in their relationship, perhaps by marrying and/or starting a family. Yet this situation, which may just appear natural to most of us today, is in fact very unusual. Beginning a long-term partnership or starting a family with someone with whom you have fallen in love is not an experience that most people across the world have. Yeah. In early modern Europe, royal and aristocratic marriages were very often arranged primarily on political grounds or for reasons of enhancing and maintaining family status. And also arranged marriages across the world are no less common than once they were among certain of Asian communities. They remain the norm. In all these cases, falling in love is rarely thought of as having any connections to marriage or starting a family. The idea of basing a long-term partnership on romantic love did not become widespread in Kazakhstan societies until fairly recently, and has never existed at all in many other cultures where more material or pragmatic reasons take precedence. So only in modern times have love and sexuality come to be seen as closely connected in the Western industrialized societies. John Boswell, a historian of medieval Europe, has remarked on the unusual nature of modern ideas about romantic love. In Europe during the Middle Ages, virtually no one married for love. There was even a medieval saying, to love one's wife is one's emotions as adultery. In those days and for centuries afterwards, men and women married mainly in order to keep property in the hands of the family or to raise children for working on the family farm. Romantic love was regarded as a best a weakness and at worst a kind of sickness. Modern attitudes um, today are almost completely the opposite. Boswell quite rightly speaks of the virtual obsession of modern industrial cultures with romantic love. So today, most people in the developed countries believe that a good relationship is based on emotional communication or intimacy. The idea for intimacy, like so many other familiar notions, is a recent one. Marriage was never in the past based in on intimacy and emotional communication. And also, this was important to a good marriage. It was now the foundation of it. For the modern couple, it is. So, basic concepts for you. We need first of all define some basic concepts, particularly this of family, kinship, and marriage. A family is a group of persons directly linked by kin connections, the adult members of whom assume responsibility of caring for children. Kinship ties are connections between individuals established either through marriage or through the lines of descent that connect blood relatives, mothers, fathers, siblings, etc. And marriage can be defined as socially acknowledged and approved sexual union between two adult individuals. When two people marry, they become kin to one another. The marriage bond also, however, connects together a wider range of kinspeople. Parents, brothers, sisters, and other blood relatives become relatives of the partner through marriage. So, family relationships are always recognized within the wider kinship groups. In virtually all societies, you can identify what sociologists and anthropologists call the nuclear family groups. Can you see the pictures? Groups.
Yes, we can.
Uh-huh. Nuclear family. Nuclear family is two adults living together with their own adopted children in a household. Households are single individuals or groups of people who share a common housing unit, common living rooms, and mm, essentials for living, such as food. In most traditional societies, like Kazakh societies, for example, the nuclear family was part of a larger kinship network of some type, when close relatives other than a married couple and children live either in the same household or in a close conditions continuous relationship with one another. We speak of extended family, расширенная семья, Russian. Кеңейтілген отбасы дейді қазақша. An extended family may include grandparents, brothers and their wives, sisters and their husbands, aunts and nephews. In most Western societies, marriage and therefore the family are said with monogamy. So next slide. It is illegal for a man or woman to be married to more than one spouse at any one time. This is not this isn't the case everywhere. However, in a famous comparison of several hundred societies in the mid-20th century, George Peter Murdoch found the polygamy, which allows a husband or wife to have more than one spouse, was permitted in more than 80% of them. There are two types of polygamy, polygyny and polyandry. Polygyny, in which a man may be married to more than one woman at the same time, and polyandry, much less common, in which a woman may have to have two or more husbands simultaneously. The majority of these polygamous societies were in parts of Africa and South Asia. The best known group to practice polygamy in the West are fundamental Mormons, Мормоны, да, в Америке, based largely in Utah, in the United States, where although the practice is illegal, precessions are rare. The practice of having many wives was abandoned by mainstream Mormons a century ago, as a condition of Utah became part of the United States. It's estimated that 30,000 fundamentalists still practice polygamy in Utah. Many sociologists believe that we cannot speak about the family as if there is just one model of family life that is more or less universal. There are many different families formed: two-parent families, step-families, lone-parent families, and so on. You know about it. The sociologist Diana Gitis has argued that it seems more appropriate to speak of families than the family. Referring to families emphasizes the diversity of family forms. Okay, next subtopic of our lecture: families in global context. There is a diversity of family forms today in different societies across the world. In some areas, such as more remote regions in Asia, Africa, and Pacific Rim, traditional family systems are little altered. In most developing countries, however, widespread changes are occurring. The origins of the changes are complex, but several factors can be picked out as especially important. One is the spread of Western culture. Western ideals of romantic love, for example, have spread to societies in which they were previously unknown. Another factor is the development of centralized government in areas previously composed of autonomous smaller societies. People's lives become influenced by their involvement in the national political system. Because of the problem of rapidly expanding population growth. For example, in China, states frequently introduce programs that advocate smaller families. The use of contraception and so forth. Further influence is the large-scale migration from rural to urban areas. Often men go to work in town or cities, leaving family members in the home village. Alternatively, a nuclear family group will move us until to the unit to the society. In both cases, traditional family forms and kinship systems may become weakened. Finally, and perhaps most important, employment opportunities away from the land and in such organizations as the government bureaucracies, mines, plantations, and where they exist, industrial firms tend to have disruptive consequences of family systems previously centered on landed production in the local community. So, in general, these changes can be seen as creating a worldwide movement towards the breaking down of extended family systems and household kinship groups. The relations between kinds people continue to be important sources of social bonds. If diversity is the most notable features of families across the world, are there any general patterns emerging? Perhaps the most important general changes we can observe at this point here. So first, clans and other kin-based groups are declining in influence. Second, there is a widespread trend towards a free selection of a spouse. Third, the rights of women became more widely recognized in respect to both the initiation of marriage and decision-making within the family. Fourth, higher levels of sexual freedom for men and women are developing in some societies that were previously very restrictive. Fifth, there is a general trend towards the extension of children's rights. Sixth, there is an increased acceptance of same-sex partnership, so this is unevenly and evenly distributed across the world societies. Next slide, families and intimate relationship. Given the cultural diverse character of modern societies, yeah, there is considerable variations in family and marriage too. Let us describe some basic characteristics which nearly all families in Britain, most of Europe, and the industrialized world share. Key features of the family include the following. First, the family is monogamous, monogamy being established in law. Given the high rate of divorce that now exists in industrialized countries. However, some observers have suggested that this marriage pattern should be called serial monogamy. That is to say, individuals are permitted to have a number of spouses in sequence, although no one may have more than one wife or husband at any one time. It is misleading so to model legal monogamy with a sexual practice. It is obvious that high proportion of Europeans engage in sexual relations with individuals other than their spouses. Second, European marriage is based on the idea of romantic love. Affective individualism has become the major influence. Couples are expected to have mutual affection based on personal attraction and compatibility as the basis of contracting marriage relationships. Romantic love as part of marriage has become naturalized in the developed world. It seems to be a normal part of human existence rather than a distinctive feature of modern culture. Of course, the reality is divergent from the ideology. The emphasis on personal satisfaction in marriage has raised expectations which sometimes cannot be met. And this is one factor involved in the increasing rate of divorce as well. Yeah. Third, the modern family is patrilineal and neolocal. New terms for you. Patrilineal inheritance involves children taking the surname of the father, как у казахов, да, как у нас, как у многих наций, которые живут в Казахстане. In the past, it also means that property would usually pass down the male line, although this is far less common today. Many societies in the developing world are matrilineal. Surnames and often property was passed down the female line, like еврей, for example. A new local residence pattern involves a married couple moving into a dwelling away from both their families. Neolocalism, however, is not an absolutely fixed trait of European family life. Many families, particularly in poor, working class or South Asian neighborhoods, are matrilocal. The newlyweds settle in an area close to where a bride's parents live. If the couple lives near or with the groom's parents, it is called patrilocal. Can you hear me? Are you
Yes.
here or are you sleeping? I'm joking. Okay, great. So last one key feature of the modern family. The modern family is often described as nuclear, consisting of one or two parents living in a household with their children. Although nuclear family units are by no means completely isolated from other kin ties. However, the dominance of nuclear family is being eroded in the industrialized world. So we finished these subtopics. Next, theoretical perspectives. The study of of the family and family life has been taken up by sociologists of contrasting theoretical presuppositions. Many of the perspectives adopted even a few decades ago now seem much less convincing in the light of recent research and the important changes in the social world. Nevertheless, it is valuable to trace briefly the evolution of sociological thinking before turning to contemporary approaches to the study of the family. First of all, of course, functionalism. The functionalist perspective sees society as a set of social institutions that perform specific functions to ensure continuity and consequences. According to this perspective, the family performs important tasks that contribute to society's basic needs and help to perpetuate social order. Sociologists working in functionalist tradition have regarded the nuclear family as fulfilling certain specialized roles in modern societies. With the advent of industrialization, the family became less important as an unit of economic production and more focused on reproduction, child rearing, and socialization. Yeah, you know, from last topics, yeah, socialization, family is the main agency of socialization. Second approach is feminist approaches. For many people, family provides a vital source of solace and comfort, love, and companionship. Yet, it can also be a locus for exploitation, loneliness, and profound inequality. Yeah, feminism has had a great impact on sociology by challenging the vision of the family as an harmonious and egalitarian realm. During the 1970s and 1980s, feminist perspectives dominated most debates and research on the family. If previously the sociology of the family had focused on family structures, the historical development of the nuclear extended family, and the importance of kinship ties, feminists succeeded in directing attention inside families to examine the experiences of women in the domestic sphere. Many feminist writers have questioned the vision that the family is a cooperative and unit based on common interests and mutual support. They have sought to show that the presence of unequal power relationships within the family means that certain family members tend to benefit more than others. Sorry. Just a moment. Feminist writings have emphasized a broad spectrum of topics, but three main themes are of particular importance. First, one of the central concerns is the domestic division of labor. The way in which tasks are allocated between members of household. Among feminists, there are differing opinions about the historical emergence of this division. Socialist feminists see it as an outcome of industrial capitalism, while others claim that it is linked to patriarchy and thus predates the industrialization process. There is reason to believe that a domestic division of labor existed prior to industrialization. But it seems clear that capitalist production brought about a much sharper distinction between the domestic and work realms. This process resulted in the crystallization of male spheres and female spheres, and power relationships with which are felt to this day. Until recently, the male breadwinner model has been widespread in most industrialized societies. Second, feminists have drawn attention to the unequal power relationships that exist within many families. One topic that has received increased attention as a result of this is a phenomenon of domestic violence. Yeah, wife battering, marital rape, incest, and sexual abuse of children have all received more public attention as a result of feminist claims that the violent and abusive sides of family life have long been ignored in both academic contexts, yeah, it's true, and legal and policy circles. Feminist sociologists have sought to understand how the family serves as an arena for gender oppression and even physical abuse. Third, the study of caring activities, a third area where feminists have made important contributions. This is a broad realm which encompasses a variety of processes, from attending to a family member who is ill to looking after an elderly relative over a long period of time. Yeah, sometimes caring means simply being attuned to someone else's physical, logical well-being. Several feminist writers have been interested in emotional work within relationships. Not only do women tend to shoulder concrete tasks such as cleaning and childcare, but they also invest large amounts of emotional labor in maintaining personal relationships. While caring activities are grounded in love and deep emotion, they are also a form of work which demands an ability to listen, perceive, negotiate, and act creatively. So, glossary terms for your individual work: family, marriage or differences, yeah, kinship, nuclear family, household, extended family, monogamy, polygamy, polygyny, polyandry, patrilineal, matrilineal, neolocal residence, matrilocal, patrilocal. Yeah, a lot of terms for you. Diversity, child rearing, feminism, egalitarian, industrial capitalism, industrialization. We use often domestic division of labor, breadwinner. Okay, can you see the slide? New terms. Groups, can you hear me?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So practice session topics for next meeting: basic concepts, family and historical context, families in a global context, inequality within the family, divorce and separation. I advise to see about diversity of Kazakhstan, yeah, theoretical perspectives in families and relationship. So I finished. I will try